Please join me in Gasho. Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs, Naman Nobs. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 2021 Hoonko Service, in which we honor the memory of Shinran Shonin, as this is the memorial acknowledging the passing of Shinran Shonin. 皆さんおはようございます。ようこそ、2021年の本校法要にお参りしていただきました。この本校というのは、親鸞上人のご命日、亡くなられたことを記念に行われるお参りでございます。We are very fortunate today and very appreciative to have once again joining us from Southern Alameda County Buddhist Church, Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyaji. So, Sensei, thank you very much. Also, we have from the Vancouver Buddhist Temple, from his office, Aoki Socho is joining us, along with Baba Akune Sensei from Vancouver Temple. So, thank you both for joining. And of course, here in the Hondo, alongside me is our minister assistant, Roy Akune Sensei. So, thank you for joining us. We'd like to begin this Hoonko service with a moment of silent meditation, followed by the recitation of the Nembutsu or Shomyo. それでは、本日のHoonko法要を黙想と念仏で始めさせていただきたいと思います。Next, I'd like to read together the homage and three treasures, and I'll just bring that up in just a second here onto your screen. Okay. So if you don't have it with you, I've put it on the screen there. Okay. So we'll read together the homage and three treasures. Homage. Hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we are hearing them. If we do not gain emancipation in the present life, we may not be free from sorrow in the ocean of births and deaths. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures. We go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. Everyone, we go to the Buddha for guidance. May we always walk in the way that leads to enlightenment. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Dharma for guidance. May we be submerged in the depth of the teachings and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. We go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Everyone, we go to the Sangha for guidance. May we all with one accord live the life of harmony in the spirit of oneness, free from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriads of kalpas, hard it is to hear such excellent and profound teachings. Now we are able to hear and receive them. Let us try to understand the Tathagata's teachings. We're not going to read this in Japanese. それでは日本語で三啓蒙をいただきたいと思います。人参受けがたし、今すでに受く。仏法聞きがたし、今すでに聞く。好み根性に向かってどせずんば。さらにいずれの章に向かってか好みをどせん。大衆もろともに指針に参謀に帰依し立てまつるべし。自ら仏に帰依し立てまつる。まさに願わくは主情とともに大道を体現して無常意を起こさん。自ら法に帰依し立てまつる。まさに願わくは主情とともに深く共造に入りて知恵海のごとくならん。自ら僧に帰依し立てまつる。まさに願わくは主情とともに大衆を通りして一切無限ならん。無常人人未妙の方は百千万号にも愛用ことかたし、我今検問し授事すること得たり、願わくは如来の真実義を下し立てまつらん。ナマンダウス、ナマンダウス。それでは引き続き言行、本日は親鸞上人のご命日本校でありますので、昇進下とご和算を一緒にあげたいと思います。画面に今昇進下が映っています。もしも手元にお持ちの方はそれを使ってください。So we will now continue on with the sutra chanting of I'm sorry, I forgot the Sambujo. Actually, just a second, let me just bring up the Sambujo. すいません、Sambujo を入れるの忘れました。So we'll be starting off with the Sambujo and then chanting the Shoshinge. And I'm just going to bring up this Sambujo right now so that you'll have it on your screens as well. I need to get new glasses, I think, or my eyes checked. Okay, I'll be bringing it up right now. Sorry about the little technical glitch. And I will share it right now with you. Yeah, so we'll start off with the Sambujo, and then following that, we'll chant the Shoshinge. それでは三部上を始めて、その後に昇進下を唱えたいと思います。よろしくお願いします。ノマンドブス、ノマンドブス、ノマンドブス、ノマンドブス、ノマンドブス、ノマンドブス。
みな
シャガニョライニウノジョPlease join me in reading the English translation. We respectfully welcome Amida Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome Shakyamuni Buddha to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy. We respectfully welcome the Buddhas of all times and places to our temple as we scatter flowers of joy.敬って大慈大悲の阿弥陀如来の尊前に申し上げます。本日ここにスティーブストーン仏教会本堂においてうやうやしく尊前を称言し、三州の人々と共に年頃に商業を独自して2021年度の法恩庫法要を言収いたします。謹んで思いますと、宗祖親鸞上人は90年の生涯を通じて真実の見教えを明らかにされ、すべての者が救われる道をお示しになりました。それからすでに761年の歳月を得ました。今、私たちが愛がたい本願念仏の見教えに遭い、阿弥陀如来のご慈悲に包まれて、往生成仏の道を歩む身となったことは、これひとえに上人のご苦労によるものであります。ここに2021年の法恩庫法要にあたり、上人のお徳をたたえ、そのご恩に思いをいたしつつ、浄土真宗の見教えを深く受け止め、混迷の時代を導く灯火として、より一層広く伝わるよう努めたいと思います。顧みますと、 1928年にスティーブストーン仏教会が建立されました。以来、先人たちはお念仏をよりどころとして互いに支え合い、さまざまな苦難を乗り越えて見教えを伝えてこられました。そして今日まで苦難の世の中に法灯を守り伝えてくださった先人たちの遺徳を忍んで深く感謝の意を表します。この上はこの荘園を木として念仏者が力を合わせて浄土真宗を伝え、心豊かに暮らせる社会を築き、世界の平和に貢献できることを念じてやみません。ここにスティーブストーン仏教会駐在会教師釈真剣謹んで申し上げます。Adoration. Today, in front of the statue of Alameda Buddha, the symbol of great compassion and wisdom, I respectfully proclaim the following adoration. We, the congregation of the Shinran Buddhist Temple, and all those who have joined us via Zoom link for this Hoonko service, gather for the 2021 Hoonko service, honoring the life of the founder of Jodo Shinshu, Shinran Shonin. Humbly reflecting on Shinran Shonin, he spent a life of 90 years clarifying the true teaching of Alameda Buddha. Through his efforts, he was able to forge a path for all beings to be liberated from their suffering and enter the realm of nirvana. Since his passing in 1263, already 58 years have gone by, that we are able to encounter 758 years have gone by, that we are able to encounter the Nembutsu of the primal vow and follow the Pure Land path as set forth by Shinran Shonin is truly a testimony to Shinran and to all the followers since who have enabled the teachings to be passed down from generation to generation. For the 2021 Hoonko service, we honor the life of Shinran Shonin by receiving the teachings of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism and keeping the Buddha Dharma as our foundation for giving us stability in this world of ignorance and turmoil. Reflecting on the membership of the temple, the first Houston Buddhist temple was built in 1928 at the location of Moncton Street and First Avenue. Since then, the Nembutsu teaching has been a foundation as the members supported one another, overcoming the many obstacles in life. Through their dedication and perseverance, they were able to protect and nurture the Buddha Dharma so that we are able to hear the teachings today. In particular, as we gather for the Hoonko service, we put our hands together in Gassho out of respect and appreciation to the members who have gone before us. May we take this opportunity to rededicate our lives to creating a society of harmony and work towards true peace throughout the world. Humbly and respectfully, Shaku Shinken, Resident Minister, Shinran Buddhist Temple.
法無量無変化無下無大公園の少女歓喜知恵子不断難事無所故超日学校小人説一切群上無故障本願名号少女語死死信行願に上等学小大涅槃意志滅道願成就如来所以公修世唯説弥陀本願会五直悪事群上会おし如来如実語納ず一年喜愛心不断本の徳涅槃凡上逆を再演入如修心入会一味摂取信仰上昇後意の水波無明王頓内心臓死有無上部真実真実ね因如にご不無しげ妙無は逆心言教大教義即応調節語悪臭一切善悪本無に問心如来偶然が仏言語大小下者善人妙分なりけ弥陀仏本願念仏邪見教満悪衆上信教十字人に南中死南昔陰の祭典四論下中華自治期死こそ現代諸公正所意妙如来音声奥義釈迦如来両がせ一種五妙難念実流十大自主等世質の在や不無権先絶大乗無常召喚義事昭和な賢治南行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀仏音が次年即時入一上唯の上昇如来語大大偶勢音天神菩薩 信用生じ有望の人間実入生じ恩じよげ恩師どんな両天使上皇南小菩薩来三蔵ルシ中上教凡上宣教義楽を天神菩薩論中下王道因果見世願王権でこういうなり上上心唯心人惑前本部新人菩生じ生じ徳根派非死無量光明 Did I screw up?
Yeah, you skipped one.
Oh, did I skip one?
Oh, you went too fast, I think.
Did I?
Yeah. You should begin to Zen Doku soon.
Well, anyways. 同社継承道南小唯妙浄土漢字万全寺理 What happened? No? 三部三神下音語増末法滅道意一生増悪地偶世死安如外小妙化全道の無明無所依公愛上三よ逆悪公明明語源にね海に本が大地海行者所入今後心教期一年総合よいないと逆三に即上上市上楽原神公開一大言延期安女開催先祖死牛安全人法家にの小便に極十悪に唯処分が薬剤摂取治癒煩悩証言水有限大無限上昇が本資言具妙仏家蓮民全幕本部人新宗家小五演習戦弱音が具
一生し即に有弱上無意や一心人意のにう無行大事終始と上在無縁極上悪同族自主無道心有意化心し高祖せナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナミダ成仏のこの方は今に二語えたまえりおしんのごりんきわもなくせのもみを照らすなりナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナ知恵の光明明かりなし不良の所相ことごとくこうけうかむらぬものはなし真実妙に奇妙せよナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナ 女国一切の右に触りなし光沢がむらぬものぞなき何時義よ奇妙せよナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナ少女語名並びなしぐしごのゆえなれば一切のごげものぞこりぬ異教へを奇妙せよナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナモアミナムナうこうせうえう最大地公園の部と名付けたり三途の国安開くなり大用具を奇妙せよがんにしぐどぐよろせいさいどうぞもないしおうじょあんやLet me apologize. During the chanting, there was a little bit of a technical glitch and I lost where we were. So I do apologize for that error. That is part of life. There's things that come up, and especially with this pandemic situation, things don't always go as we plan. I'd like to now just briefly introduce Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyaji, our guest sensei.
それでは、ただいまより、宮地隆先生の紹介をさせていただきたいと思います。宮地先生は、去年まではですね、去年の8月までは、このスティーブストンに割と近く、タコーマ仏教会の開教師をですね、2017年から去年の夏まで、そこの任務がありましたが、ちょうど去年の8月からこのオークランドの近くにあるSouthern Alameda County Buddhist Church に、人事異動があって、そちらの方に去年から行ってます。そしてまた宮地先生は、Institute of Buddhist Studies という、学校で、教授もされています。先生はとてもですね、人気の先生であって、実は2年前にからこちらの方、スティーブストンに来てもらうことにお願いしてたんですが、ようやくですね、今年の香港に来てもらうはずだったんですが、このパンデミックになって実際に来ることはできなかったけど、幸いにこの Zoom のっていう形で先生が参加してくれるっていう承諾いただき、今日一緒にお参りさせていただいています。で、先生はですね、カリフォルニア大学のバークリーから、まず、哲学と日本語を専攻に、大学を卒業して、その後ですね、その Institute of Buddhist Studies で、修士課程を得て、それから日本の龍谷大学行き、新宗学の修士課程、そして、博士号も、取られたということです。で、得道と教師を受けた、他に、先生は補教という、本願寺の中のランキングを持っています。で、最近ですね、先生が、最終的にその博士号の、論文を得て、今はその龍谷大学から博士号をもらったということです。So just as I continued on with yesterday, a brief introduction of Miyaji Sensei, Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyaji was a minister with the Tacoma Buddhist Temple from December 2017 until July of last year. And as I mentioned yesterday, he's probably one of the most sought after senseis in North America. And so I've been actually trying to get him to come and join us for our services for several years now. And 2 years ago, he had agreed to finally put us in his schedule for this Hoonko. And so he was actually supposed to be here in person, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, he has to join us in this fashion by Zoom. Sensei was in Tacoma until July, and then from August, he was relocated and is now serving as the resident minister of Southern Alameda County Buddhist Church. He also teaches at the Buddhist Institute of Buddhist Studies in Berkeley, California. He graduated from University of California, Berkeley, with a philosophy and Japanese language and literature degree, and which he followed with a master's degree at the Institute of Buddhist Studies Center. And then after that, he went to Japan, where he received his master's and doctorate from the Ryukoku University. Aside from his ordination of Tokudo and Kyoshi, Sensei also has the academic ranking of Hokkyo within the Honganji. And yesterday I forgot to mention or ask him about his family situation, but those who came on early saw his wife and his son. So without any further ado, I'd like to ask Sensei for his Dhamma talk. So Sensei, if you could unmute yourself now. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'd like to start with Gasho. Please join me in Gasho. How joyous I am, Gudok Shinran, disciple of Shakyamuni. Rare is it to come upon the sacred scriptures from the westward land of India and the commentaries of the masters of China and Japan, but now I've been able to encounter them. Rare is it to hear them, but already I've been able to hear. reverently entrusting myself to the teaching, practice, and realization that are the true essence of the Pure Land Way. I am especially aware of the profundity of the Tathagata's benevolence. Here I rejoice in what I have heard and extol what I have attained. ここに愚徳釈の親鸞、喜ばしいかな、聖番月始の焦点、当下自治域の施策に、相がたくして今大ことを得たり、聞くがたくしてすでに聞くことを得たり、新宗の教、行、章を共振して、ことに如来の音読の深きことを信ぬ。ここをもって聞くところを喜び、売るところを単ずるなり、と何万だ、何万だ。Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Yukita Sensei, for allowing me to have this opportunity to participate in the Hoonko Service with everyone. I'm very honored to be here. So thank you very much. I wish I could have been there physically. I do have fond memories of going to, I think it's called, is it Stanley Park?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. It's a very beautiful place. And so just Canada, I just have nothing but good images of Canada. And so I'd like to go there again one time. So today we are observing the Hoonko Service, the day that Shinran Shonin is said to have passed from this world. And so this is the memorial service for Shinran Shonin. And this day is considered the most important day of our tradition. The reason is that this is the day that Shinran Shonin was born in the Pure Land. And from the Pure Land, Shinran works to bring all beings to encounter the Buddha Dharma. So the most important observance for Jodo Shinshu Buddhism is contrary to popular belief, is not Obon, just because of the, the dancing and the food and all that fun stuff. It's not Christmas for obvious reasons. The most important day is Hoonko. It is the day that defines what our religious tradition is about. And the meaning of Hoonko, the ho means to repay or retribution. Sometimes retribution has kind of a negative connotation, but maybe repay might be a better word. Repay is the appropriate word. And then om means benevolence or kindness. And then finally, ko means gathering. Back in Nenya Shonin's time, he's the 8th head priest of the Honganji. He popularized this ko, these gatherings, which today in today's standards would be like seminars and lectures. These gatherings to have kind of Dharma centered talks and discussions. And this is what he popularized. And this is what is kind of an example of this ko, these gatherings. So Hoonko is, to put it in English, is a gathering for us to repay the benevolence shown to us by Shinran Shonin and Amida Buddha. At the headquarters in Kyoto in Japan, it's called Honzan. They have these kind of week-long seminars. And then I think a few days before the Hoonko service, they'll have these 24-hour, what we here in the BCA know as Dharmathons, these what is it? What's the word? This escapes me right now. Just one after the other, these Dharma talks that they hold, and they're very, very moving, and they're very nice, and they go all throughout the night until it culminates at the 6 a.m. morning service. So, and other local temples will have these gatherings where they have dinners and stuff like that. So it's kind of like a family event and where people gather to hang out and actually, do some drinking and stuff like that. So it's a happy occasion at these Hoonko things. And I wish we could, bring that here in America in some way. But in order to explain Shinran Shonin and his legacy that he left behind, we kind of have to talk about his history a little bit. So if you kind of doze off, I don't mind, don't worry. But we do have to talk about his history. So when he was at a young age, he lost both his mother and father, and he was soon sent to a Tendai Buddhist monastery. Tendai is another Buddhist school, which at that time was kind of like the umbrella organization. It was like the main organization. It was that or Shimashu, but Tendai was the one that he went to. So he starts to study and he enters the priesthood at 9 years old, a very young age. If you can imagine, 9 years old, that's like, right now 9 years old kids are thinking about, video games and bicycles and these kinds of things. He had to go to a Tendai monastery and study, right, throughout his life and dedicate his life to this. So it was very rigorous and difficult for him. I'm sure it was. And he was extremely smart and extremely studious, and he elevated within the ranks very quickly, and until the age of 29. And so he could have, at the age of 29, he senses this crisis within himself in his religious practice. He's thinking to himself, I practice, and I cannot attain enlightenment. What is happening? What is it that I'm doing wrong? What is wrong with me is what he thought. He comes across this spiritual existential crisis for himself. And so that kind of culminates at the age of 29, and he hits this kind of ceiling, and then he decides that he has to leave Mount Hiei. So he goes and leaves Mount Hiei, and he goes down to within the city of Kyoto. So, no matter how much meditation or recitation of the sutras or depriving him of himself of sleep to study, he couldn't attain enlightenment. And at a loss, he decided that he needed to leave Hiei, Mount Hiei, which is where the Tendai Monastery is. And there he comes across a very famous, sometime later, he comes across a famous teacher by the name of Honen Shonin, and he learns about the Nimbutsu teaching and Amida Buddha's great compassion. And for 100 days, in Japanese, they say, furu ni mo teru ni mo, right? So whether, the rain was ice, rain, snow, sleet, he went to Honen Shonin to listen to the Buddha Dharma. And it is there that I believe that his utagai, his hakarai, was negated. He went through a process of verifying the truth of the Buddha Dharma. How is it that Amida Buddha's great compassion is truly what spiritually liberates all sentient beings? So you might be thinking then, why is this the most important day in our tradition? The most, one of the most boring ones. You don't do any kind of major celebration. There is no special food that we eat. We don't color any eggs or anything like that, right? In fact, we're observing a day that someone died, right? So that's kind of morbid, right? In the Western kind of standards that we think of, it's kind of negative and dark. Well, it's because we've been taught to kind of think that death is something negative, and that it's something we should treat with disdain, or that we should treat with hate and fear. But Buddhism teaches us to accept death as a part of life. And in fact, there is deep and profound meaning in death that goes past our normal way of looking at things, just as looking at things as just good or just bad. We cannot truly understand life, actually, until we first truly come to terms with and accept our death. And the path to do this is Buddhism. So I'd like to shift gears a little bit here. Have you guys ever heard of the phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure? Yes, we've all heard this, right? So let's say that someone was using an old iPhone and decides to get rid of the latest version, and that person gives away his old iPhone to his niece or nephew who has never owned a phone before. The old iPhone might not be worth much to the uncle anymore, but for the niece or the nephew, this iPhone is a prized possession, right? This happens all the time with antiques or outdated artifacts. For one person, a certain item might not mean much. To another person, that would mean the world, right? Just to give you an example, my brother, he in high school, he used to be, I think this is from the influence of this anime called Initial D, but he really liked the 1986 Toyota Corolla. The 1986 Toyota Corolla. It's a hatchback, and it's a very, in my opinion, it was like a dinky looking car, right? I don't see what is the aesthetic beauty of this car, but to him, this was a prized possession. It was a very sought after car. And apparently it's a very well balanced car, and it's good for like drifting and all these things I had no interest in, right? But for him, it was a prized possession. For me, I was into music. I was a DJ for a long time, for many years. So for me, it was records. So I went to like old garage sales and looked to old record shops to look for these records that were prized possessions to me, but trash to the previous owner. And the reason why I think one person's trash becomes another person's treasure is because both people are placing value judgments on items. And this is worthless. This is worth something. This meant something to me in the past, but it doesn't mean anything to me now. This had significance to me before, but not so much now. We constantly place value judgments on things, but actually it goes further than that. Then we start to place value judgments on people, right? On the people around us, or the people in general. This person is good. This person is bad. This person is good because she donates to charity. This person is bad because he is flaky or doesn't keep to his commitments, right? The values we place on things and people are always relative to our standards of what we want and what we do not want. And this is what Buddhism means by having attachments, which are also called blind passions. In the normal everyday world, we need to place value judgments on things. Sometimes we need to do these things based on our basic instincts of survival. When we judge something as dangerous, we then decide, fight or flight, right? Do we fight that big saber-toothed tiger, or do we run away from it? Because if we do, we got to do it now, right? When we eat food, right? We've been taught we have to use our senses to see if they're spoiled or still good to eat, right? These are value judgments we have to place on things and people in order to survive in this world. But these and sentient beings, including all humans, all need to do this in order to survive. But when it comes to the matter of spiritual liberation or spiritual peace of mind, Shin Buddhism says that's where the buck stops for placing value judgments. In other words, spiritual liberation and peace of mind is not a matter of how do I satisfy my ego self or my attachments. That's not how it works. In addition, we do not decide who gets to have spiritual liberation or not. We do not judge who gets to be saved or not. True liberation, or infinite wisdom and compassion, embraces all people equally and indiscriminately. In the eyes of Amida Buddha's compassion, in the eyes of the Buddha Dharma, all things are in fact the object of Amida Buddha's great compassion. All things are the target of Amida Buddha's great compassion. What we have to do then is awaken to that truth by continuing to listen to the teachings of Amida Buddha. In the eyes of Amida Buddha, there is no trash, referring to the quote, "One man's trash is another man's treasure." For the Buddha, there is no such thing as a person of trash or a person of treasure. We are all embraced equally. Shinran says that we are embraced as if we are the Buddha's only child. In other words, the Buddha's intent is to bring each and every one of us to awaken to the understanding that we are not alone. So then one might ask, is the Buddha some kind of, godlike figure or some kind of being? I mean, because, the Buddha is being explained as a savior-like figure, right? But actually, no, that's not our tradition. In our tradition, when I say that we are assured and that we are not alone, I'm not referring to an actual someone watching over you. I interpret Shinran to mean that we recognize that we are part of a greater reality, a reality that is dynamic, a reality that is calming, a reality that is peaceful and tranquil. The warm feeling that you get when you see someone doing something nice for another person, like on Facebook or something, right? That feeling where you get goosebumps when you hear music that really moves you, right? The feeling of vitality you get when you breathe in the ocean sea breeze, or the smile that you feel growing on your face when you remember an experience you shared with your grandmother who has long since passed. The humbling feeling you get when you glance up and see the night stars, or even that deep sense of loss and mourning when someone close to you passes away. It is in these various profoundly moving moments in which the greater reality we call the world of Amida Buddha's great compassion is reaching out, trying to speak to us. These are all ways in which the Nembutsu is trying to shake us and tell us there is an undercurrent of great reality that is telling us there is much more to this life than just our own ego selves. There is a reality that is much more profound than just what we see and can understand. There is a reality that we cannot possibly fathom, but it is telling us that we are accepted just as we are. When we feel this deep reality, deep in our hearts, that is the arising of Shinjin, or true and trusting. And then we respond with the Nembutsu. When we say the Nembutsu, we are responding by saying, I am here with you. I feel it. I am part of this reality. I am embraced by this reality, and I am grateful that I am here to receive this understanding. There is no prerequisite to come to this understanding of life. There is no condition placed upon you that neither inhibits you nor prioritizes you over others from awakening to the embrace of true reality. We are all equally embraced by great compassion. This is what Shinran Shonin tried to get the people of Japan to understand, everyone from the common folk to the high class of society. Shinran realized that this greater reality that is expressed as the Nembutsu was and is always trying to reach out to every one of us. Sentient beings cannot see this, unfortunately, because we are so preoccupied with our attachments. But every so often, once in a long while, there will be a moment in greater reality that when it will hit you and snap you just out of it, just for an instant. It's kind of like when you eat, wasabi, and it goes, right? It comes to your sinuses for a split second, right? Or when you jump into a pool with cold water, right? And the coldness, shocks through your body. And it is an instant moment in which you are stopped dead in your tracks and reality speaks out to you and shakes you. And this is what we call shinji, true entrustment. It is the moment in which you become fully immersed in true reality. There is no more you, there is only suchness. In a way, we as Buddhists are being nurtured by Amida Buddha as we continue to listen to the teachings of the Buddha Dharma. We are being prepared to be able to hear and receive the truth of the Nimbutsu teaching. And when the opportunity presents itself and greater reality shakes us, if we have our hearts open to receive the calling voice of Amida Buddha, we can then truly accept that moment and be submerged in the great reality. We then become aware of a brightness and warmth and acceptance that embraces not just us, but all beings as well. And this is the world of Amida Buddha. This is the world of Tariki. It is a world that grounds us as we live in these turbulent times, especially in the recent days of the news taking place right now. So in conclusion, Hoonko is the memorial service for the death of Shinran Shonin, but here we should understand it as Shinran has entered the world of Amida Buddha's great compassion, and together they teach and guide us to this day. And therefore we celebrate this gift that they give to us in deep gratitude. So we must continue to listen to the Buddha Dharma so that we will be able to recognize these moments when true reality speaks to us. And finally, let us remember that it's because of Shinran Shonin that we're able to receive this wonderful teaching of the Nembutsu. Our great teacher who after 750 years plus, right, is still teaching this world about Amida Buddha's great compassion. And with that, I would like to end today's talk. Please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much. So should I just jump right into the Japanese, or is there?
Yes, please.
Oh,
go.
okay. Okay. 1 second here.皆さんこんにちは。今日は本当にようこそのお参りで、ございます。なぜこの、ことを言うかと言いますと、やはり、近頃のニュースを見ていますと、コロナの感染者の数がどんどん、増加していき、死亡率も同じく高まっていく一方です。世の中は大変不安な時期であります。これは、世代ごとに、みんなが言ってきたものであるかもしれませんが、しかし、今日の状況は本当に不安に、感じます。アメリカ政府もわけのわかんないことを言いますし、コロナに関してもマスクをつけたくないというような無責任な意見も多々あります。そしてこの間のニュースに砂漠の中にこれってどっから来たのっていうぐらい、不気味な、ものが、発見されます。こういったバランスが取れていないような、状況が続き、私たちは本当に、これからどうなるのかというぐらい不安に、包まれています。だから、本当にようこそのお参りでございますと、言ってるんです。この間、私の息子が親に対して、こう聞いてくるんですね。パパとママはいつか死ぬの？死ぬという言葉をなぜか死ぬと言うんですけれども、 なぜ死ぬのと聞くわけなんですね。ついに来たかと思いながら、悩んではる、我が子に、どのように、答えたらいいのかと、自分も悩みます。ママとパパはいつか死ぬよ。死ぬけれど、経済というんですけれども、経済は離れないからね。阿弥陀さんがちゃんとそう教えてくださるから心配することないよと言いました。確かにその通りなんですね。私は、日本で、勉強をさせていただいたときに、ある先生がこのようにお話をされました。その先生が住職しているお寺のご門徒の方が先生のところに来ていつも聞きます。先生、私は、死んだらお浄土に行くんですね。と。そして、先生は、はい、必ず行きます。必ず行きますと答えます。これが言えるのが住職の仕事なんですと、その先生がはっきり説明されました。必ず行きますと。ためらわずに、はっきりと自信を持って言えるのが僧侶の仕事なんだと教えられました。ここもまた、その通りだなと思いました。4歳の子供と年配の方、80歳としましょう。が共に悩んでいることは、やはり死の問題なんですね。不思議なことですね。お二人の方を並べて考えてみますと、いろいろなご縁で自分は教えられているんだなと感じ、させられました。人生が、まだ始まったばっかりの素直な状態である子供、そして人生を一生懸命生きてきた年配の方が結局悩むところが一緒のところなんですね。これは偶然ではありませんね。私たちも死に関して悩んでいるはずなんですが、日々の多忙の中、ついにこれを忘れてしまっていたり、また無視をするわけなんですね。仏教において最大の問題はこの死を通して分かる苦のですね、苦という、ところでございます。苦というのは詳しく説明していきますと、四苦八苦という言葉があります。この四苦八苦の最初の四苦というのは、生、老、病死、生は生ですね。お釈迦様が、お城から、出てみたのは、老、病死といった3つの苦しみでした。それとプラスに、生、生まれること、と、そして生きることそのものは苦しみであるということが仏教の教えであります。でそれはなぜかと言いますと、生も含めて全てのものは無常であるから苦しむわけでございます。そしてその次の八苦ですが、前の4つの苦を受けてさらにということで、残りの4つしかありません。でそれは愛別離苦、恩蔵会苦、愚不特苦、言上苦とあります。で、愛別離苦とは、愛している人、つまり、深いご縁でつながった人たちとお別れしなければならないということ。これは、主に、死んで家族、友人から離れなければならないということを指しています。恩蔵会苦とは、会いたくない人たちと会わなければならないということです。これはもう本当にその通りだなといつも感じさせていただきます。あの人がまた来たかとか思う時がよくありますね。あるいは仕事場で一緒に働きたくない人たちも必ずいますね。四苦八苦の中でこの恩蔵会苦が一番しっくりときます。面白いもんですね。そしてその次に愚不特苦とは、自分が欲しいものが得られないということですね。あれはあれが欲しい、これが欲しい。この欲望を満足させることは、不可能であり、いつも何かを求めていき、満足することの、ないことです。僕はちょっと話が、ずれますけれども、この間痛風になりましてですね、足の方をちょっと痛めまして、でそれでも甘いもんから離れなさいっていうふうに言われてですね、もうドーナツが食べれなくなったということで、ドーナツはいつも食べたいんですけども食べれない。これがまさにこの中に含まれるのではないかと思います。そして、五運上苦とは、簡単に言えば感覚、肉体、感覚、この体が感じるものくらい苦しみということですね。これが五運上苦、と言います。全部まとめて四苦八苦、生老病死、愛別離苦、恩蔵会苦、愚不特苦、五運上苦と言います。しかし、お釈迦様が私たちに教えてくださるのが、 人生は一体何のためのものなのか、死というものをどのように乗り越えていけるのか、解決できるのかということを考えなければなりません。そういうことです。で、そしてその解決とは阿弥陀如来様のお慈悲の世界であり、私たちはその温かい光の世界に包まれているということを気づかなければなりません。親鸞上人の説明になられた、お言葉に、空ごとたわごと誠あることなきにただ念仏のみぞ誠にておわしますとありました。これは歎異抄という有名な書物、から来る印文ですが、ここでは念仏一つが真実の世界を表しているという表現であります。ですから念仏以外のものは真実でないということになります。皆さんこれはいかがでしょう。いやいや、この世に本当のものはあるでしょうと思いませんか。例えば自分の体、これは肉体的に見えるものでありますし、触ったら実際にあるものですね。または、人と人の間の愛情というものは、真実ではないか。あるいは人間が考える哲学、または人工的に作り上げる技術など、こういったものは全てこの世に実際にあるものだから真実ではないかと考える人もいます。しかし真実というのはそもそもどういう意味を持つのかと、それを定義しなければなりません。仏教から見る真実というのは簡単に言えば変わらないということなんですね。つまり状況の変化によって変わっていかないものが真実というのです。言い換えれば周りに変化があっても変わらないものが本当のものなのです。このように考えてみますと、この世に変わらないものってないですよね。自分の体は、今日は、元気であっても明日になって病気にかかるかもしれませんし、また年を取っていきます。体が毎日少しずつ変わっていきますが、それはどう見ても変化が起きているということですよね。また人と人の間の愛情も縁によって変わりますよね。例えば薄い、I lost my place。例えば薄い愛情は、すぐ冷めますよね。また、深い愛情でもやはり状況が良ければ愛情は続きますが、ちょっとでも、事情が変わるとすぐ消えてしまったり薄くなったりしますよね。技術の発展もどんどん変わっていく。政治も変わっていく。経済、国、人間の価値観、善と悪の定義など全て状況によって変わっていきます。これらのものは全て仏教では無常というのです。無常というのは真実でないものを指して言っているのです。ですからこの人生、自分の体、人間関係、自分の住まい、国、文化など全部真実でないものであります。それでしたら私たちは嘘の生活をしているのかというと、それもやはり誤解なんですよね。またこの、人生は無意味なのかというとそうではありません。なぜかというと、この人生を通して真実の世界と出会うことが可能となるからであります。その真実のものは念仏なのです。念仏は変わらないものなのです。いつまで経っても念仏は念仏なのです。世界が滅びて、この地球が崩壊しても念仏そのものは生き残るのです。なぜかというと、お念仏は人間の煩悩を超えたところから来るからであります。つまり人間が考えたものではないのです。人間の超えたところから現れてくるものであるからこそ真実なのです。ご解散上人はよく真実の世界を光として例えることがあります。例えば自分が真っ暗な部屋の中にいるとします。この部屋には窓があるけれども、カーテンが閉まっていて中が全く見えない状態です。部屋の中に家具がそれぞれ置いておりますが、何がどこにあるのかがわからない状態です。懐中電灯は持っているが、その明かりはそんなに大したものではないので、まだまだ部屋の中が暗くて歩き回るのが大変不安であります。しかし何かのきっかけでカーテンがちらっと開きます。その途端、外からの太陽の光が一気に入ってきます。でその一瞬はたったの一瞬だったのですが、部屋の中の状態がはっきりと見えるわけなんですね。懐中電灯がどうのこうのっていうぐらいの光ではないのです。はっきりとした強い明るさが入ってくるのです。その光があまりにも明るくて、部屋の中にある塵まで、 はっきりと見えることができます。このように阿弥陀如来様の知恵は真実の光なのです。この光によって私たちの心の中、またはこの世の中の本当の姿を見せていただく真実のものなのです。私たちが持つ懐中電灯は人間の知恵を象徴するものなのです。いくら自分のことを素晴らしいと思っていても、なんぼ賢くても、なんぼ募金活動に貢献したとしても、やはり自分の煩悩の上に立つ行動である限り、これは限られている光としか言えないのです。外の太陽とはとても比べるものではありません。そして部屋の暗さは私たちがいるシャバの世界、つまり苦悩の世界というものを象徴しているものです。しかし何かのご縁でカーテンが開きますと、外からの光が直ちに入ってくるのです。つまり何かのご縁で仏様の教えと出会うと、この世または自分の本当の姿が見えることができるのです。ですから仏様の知恵というものが真実なのです。変わらない本当の光なのです。そして仏様の知恵というものが念仏となって太陽からの光線としてこの暗い部屋に入ってくるのです。さらに部屋の中が明るくなったため、部屋の中の家具の、位置が分かり、または自分の本当の姿、これは煩悩具足の凡夫であるということ、本当の姿がはっきりと分かることができるのです。よってこの人生というものを自信と希望を持って生きることができるのではないかと思います。話を戻しますが、また私はこの宿泊によって苦しむのです。そしてその宿泊の自分にとって一番問題になるのは自分がいつか死ぬということです。ここが仏教の出発点で、あるということを改めて教えてくれたのが、真剣に悩んでいる姿を見せてくれた、まだ4歳にしかならない自分の子供でした。ここをもって私も生死生と死、生死の問題に向き合いながら仏法を聴聞し続けていくことが浄土真宗の信者の精神ではないかと思います。ただ念仏のみぞ誠にておわしますというのは、真実のものはただ念仏のみぞと親鸞上人がお示しになられました。我々も現在社会における不安の状況の中に生きていることを考えてみますと、この大切な教えを深く味わいさせていただいて、仏様と共に毎日を送らせていただけることを感謝して、本日の法話を終わらせていただきます。皆さん、本日はようこそのお参りでございました。最後にご視聴お願いいたします。ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏、ナモ阿弥陀仏。
Thank you very much, Miyaji Sensei. ありがとうございました。At this time, I'm just going to pull up Ted Akune, who is the president of our temple, just to say a few words. So, Ted, if you could unmute yourself. And I apologize, I put Ted on the spot. I asked him just a few minutes ago to do this. So,
thank you, Reverend Grant. On behalf of the Stevenson Buddhist Temple, I truly wish to thank Reverend Miyaji for being our guest minister. During this pandemic, all of us are feeling very, very isolated, and many of us are really out of our ordinary ways of doing things, and it's affecting us all in so many different ways. And so many of us would like to think of 2020 and look back and just think of all the awful things that have happened. But I'd like to think of it as taking away the positive things from 2020. 2020, because of the pandemic, it has, for one, brought a number of people together here in this Zoom. this Zoom, I believe there's 55. I'm not sure exactly how many right now. And of the 55, many of us are couples. So there's presumably 70 plus people here. And so when we look back and we are all here together, we also, I believe, each and every have reflected on ourselves. We've reflected on a number of things. And these are times when we bring solace, when we bring relief to ourselves in a different way because we are quieter. We are tending to perhaps things that we have never ever had the time or the inclination to do so. So in thanking you, Reverend Miyaji, you have come at a very ideal time. Obviously, we're so blessed and thankful that you are here to present to us our Hoonko service. There are so many people from Canada and the United States that are connected. But I'd like to just emphasize the great compassion that you have mentioned. And all of us, we've heard the great compassion of the Buddha. And you know, often it goes in one year and out the other year. And during this talk and during this pandemic, perhaps hearing about the compassion of the Buddha, hearing of the great compassion, because this compassion is what I believe has really helped us all to feel together. I know for myself personally, while I do feel isolated, I also look forward to the Sunday services because that gives us all an opportunity to be together. And I truly wish to thank you. Just as a side note, Reverend Miyaji, I believe I met your wife probably 15, 18 years ago at the International Education Center in Japan. And another side note is that I know you're associated with Berkeley. Well, my daughter, Jenny Akune, she's online here. She is in international education on behalf of UC Berkeley as well. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Fantastic. Go Bears. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry to take my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted Sensei. And so at this time, we'd like to close this Hoonko service with the singing of the Ondok-san. You know, of all the gathas that we sing, the Ondok-san is actually the only one that was actually written by Shinran Shonin. At least I believe so. Sensei, you could correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe these were the actual words that were written by Shinran Shonin. So we'll close our service with the singing of Ondok-san. Stop there. Thank you. Okay, so this will conclude our 2021 Hoonko service. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Just to let you know that I think I sent it in the invitation to everyone, but there is also another lecture next Saturday by Professor Duncan Williams on that's sponsored through our national organization, the JSBTC. So if anybody's interested, you can go on to the national website to get information on how to join that. I think Socho has also mentioned that, I believe.
I uploaded on the chat line.
So there's a link to that if you want to go and look in the chat section. So this will conclude our service today. Again, thank you Miyaji Sensei for being our guest speaker. And next time we will actually have you in person. And by the way, Sensei, we actually do serve food at Hoonko after our service. So there is a cookie. So if we have you up here, we'll make sure that we'll feed you as well.
Looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you everyone. If you want to unmute yourselves to say goodbye to everyone, you're more than welcome to.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Miyaji Sensei.
much.
It was a wonderful talk.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Lovely
Many
day.
thanks.
Arigatou.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Rowan.
Thank you.
Thank you.